let's watch.
Yeah, so
And
Project
yes,
2025,
immigration attorney
you
Sharif
know, yes, there are other
Tarp,
things
and
where
she's
they
in
talk about
Florida.
limiting the media,
Oh, that's
but keep
interesting.
in mind
Wait, let me
that
see if I can turn it
none
around
of
so
this
you
is
can
going to
see.
happen without a fight. Because to lock down the media,
Let me
they have to
see.
publicly threaten the media, right? They
Let's
have to
see.
put public restrictions on the
I'm
media.
gonna sleep. I'm just
So
gonna let it
keep in
play
mind
meanwhile.
that there are going to be
Watch
fights.
it.
Everybody is going to, not everybody, but the right people are going to be on the right side of the battle to fight this, right? So, and this is what
I
happened
wanna
during the
sleep,
last
people.
administration. So, we'll take it one step at a time. But whatever happens, we're going to look for the best tools to make sure we can enforce our rights. I filed I-360, and after I received prima facie, I filed my AOS package. But 765C31, my lawyer reapplied for EADC9. I received the receipt
I'm
notice with.
gonna sleep.
What does that mean? So you're just doing a background check for the adjustment of status, and then they may issue they're gonna issue a work permit. So it doesn't hurt for you to get another work permit. So you got the C31, which is 2 years, and then you could get the C9, which is 5 years. And this is another amazing thing that the Biden administration did. They changed work permits from 2 years for most cases where you're doing adjustment of status, VAWA, they changed it, and asylum, they changed it from 2 years to 5 year work permits. So do you know that means that you would have your work permit for the duration of the 4 years that we're gonna have to go through this, right? That we're gonna have to go through these potential changes. So that's another very good benefit. What happens to pending AOS through marriage to USC, same as T, same as VAWA, same as U, same as asylum, it's not going away right now. It is still in place, so get on it. If you qualify through that, get on it. Don't wait anymore, okay? If your spouse is giving you trouble to get your papers, contact me. Let's talk about VAWA if it's based on mistreatment. Your spouse is mistreating you at the same time. Usually, if they are refusing to file for you, it's a red flag that they're mistreating you. So get on it, right? The laws, nothing has changed. And on the day one of Trump's administration, it will not change. We will know when those changes are coming. Um, my cousin wants to know, what does she do? She came in the country legal, but she has nothing at all. What else can she do? Get in touch with us. That's what we're doing now. We're looking to see what options are available because they are there. So we just need to evaluate your facts and then decide if there's that option for you. My uncle had a terrible employer 3 years ago who refused to pay him at times, roughed him, and forced him to sleep in a coal closet. She's an overseer. Is there any remedy? Yes. T visa. Get in touch. Have your uncle call us. This is what I'm talking about. So many people are going through situations like this, and you think you have nothing. You overstayed your visa or you came in without permission. People treat you like this, make you work, rough you up, abuse you, and you think you have no rights. You have rights, and that's what the T visa is there for. And the T visa is there to protect you. So in this case, your uncle, while I have to talk to your uncle to get all the facts involved, this is a classic red flag for T visa. No pay, physical abuse, forced him to sleep in a cold closet, then of course, and I'm pretty sure it gets worse. Once I talk to your uncle, it's gonna get worse. So tell your uncle to get on it right now. Give us a call. Link is in the description of the video. Link is in the profile of the page. Get in touch. If I came in on my H2B visa and I overstay my visa, can it affect my 10-year visa? Yes, it will. So it's probably not valid anymore. Can I refile for AOS of which I have NOI pending based on EB2? I have overstayed visa, pending asylum, and have a re-entry. So once you have overstayed your visa, you will not be able to get the EB-2. You have to be very careful with that. The national interest waiver, and in some cases, it's a two-step process. You have to wait for your priority date to become current, and you cannot overstay your visa while you wait for your priority date to become current. So we can sort through it to figure out what's going on with the EB tool. But annoyed doesn't sound great at all either. So, and if the noid is based on the overstay, then there you go, because you can't apply. It's an employment based, and when it's employment based, you can't overstay and apply for it. Um, Mass deportation affects green card holders. Not to no Not a green card holder will not be deported unless they mistakenly get caught up in a deportation, but that probably will be resolved by showing your status. But but how it will is if that green card holder is in a mixed family and they lose family members who are deported, so that's how a green card holder would be affected. I have questioned citizenship application. Get on your citizenship applications right away as well. Um, I had one DUI in 2019. I cleared everything. I done my probation last year. How long I have to apply for citizenship? Anyone have experience? So with one DUI, that does not necessarily reflect bad good that you lack good moral character, because that would be the main concern here. We'd have to look at your facts, we'd have to see the state that this occurred in, but it is possible, definitely possible. And especially if it happened more than, well, 5 years ago. But usually they look at certain offenses to determine whether it reflects on your good moral character. DUI may not, where it may is, for example, are you a habitual drunk? That can stop you from getting your papers if somehow in the facts it exposes some form of alcoholism, or they call it when you're a habitual drunk. Then that can be a problem. So get in touch with us. We definitely do citizenships as well. um, Good evening. I came into the US on 20th of October as a visitor. What can I do to stay? Don't, for right now, know your options before you make a decision to stay, right? Don't stay and then say, oh, I'll find a way, without knowing what you have, what options you have. So I wouldn't be able to tell you an option because I don't know all your facts, but um, I have a case filed. I did biometrics December. Is it possible? So I didn't get the rest of it. Is it possible to get a different lawyer? It's always your right to get another lawyer if you're not satisfied with your current lawyer. You, well, I understand what you're going through because I'm in it with you. I'm in this journey with you. So I know I'm the child of immigrants. So I know, right? I understand the journey. Can SIJS applicant get deported? As I said before, you have something in place. It's unlikely you're going to be caught up in any deportations because you're protected. You have a pending process. So, hi there, Temitopes. Nice to see you. And yes, my son is doing good. He is also disappointed about the results, but I'm trying to, not frighten him too much. How long will it take to get work permit after I apply for the T visa? Right away. So how long if you applied in 2023? It's taking a year to a year and a half right now. If your boss put in your extension and you only get approval letter and you don't get the next piece of paper, and I'm going home in March, what will happen? So I don't know what the approval letter is. So I don't. I'm a little lost there because the approval letter sounds like you got an approval. So, um, you know, in this case, if you're really concerned, you need to talk to us. In Trump government, how it affect I-751, cruelty, abuse, green card, it's the same, the same. Now, where it may get more challenging is the way they process things. They take longer to process it, right? Even longer than what Biden is taking now. So that is going to be one struggle. Um, but the laws are still the same. It's just that the way they adjudicate it is going to be different. Sometimes we're going to get unnecessary or really trivial requests for evidence that we didn't necessarily have to get, where we have to put more hours into just responding to it. So the burden is going to be more, but the laws are the same. So if you qualify for I-751 cruelty, extreme cruelty, an I-751 for everybody is where you have the 2 year, you're going to the 10 year. And in this case, you are married to a citizen, but they mistreated you, so you're applying without them to get the 10 year. In this case, you qualify, go for it. Don't let fear make you be paralyzed to pursue what you qualify for. That's why I'm here to help my clients, is to advocate, to do what I know best, so that they can get it. All right, so I'm gonna move on. Sorry, I mean removing. Yes, I get it, Jihad, I get it. All right, so I'm on Instagram now. So when is Trump going into office? January 20th. Can you answer questions in this live? Yes, I'm answering. So I'm going through from the top. Um, we waiting on you from D. Yes, I've been just sorting through everything, talking to other attorneys, just making sure that, you know, getting ready, and I'm gonna keep getting ready. We're going to work really hard to get everything in. Can I still use advance parole to travel for pending VAWA? So what I would say is be careful. Be careful now with the travel document, because I have been noticing that they're paying more attention. They're putting, for example, some of my clients, they're being held longer in secondary inspection. It turns out fine, but if there's something in the background, they'll give trouble. So we've had one instance where they did that. They gave our client trouble because she had something in her background already that increased her risk. So this is where I say very important that you understand the risk is not zero. Um, I would say that's what the travel document is for, but now you have to really consider your risk. The risk, is it worth it, and what's your plan if you can't get back into the country, right? Because it's really hard. It's possible, but it gets really hard to fight when you're outside of the country, to fight for you to get back in. Is Biden immigration plan in effect? It's in effect, yes, now, and it's gonna be in effect until we get notification weeks or months into next year. So this is where I'm saying get on it. I'm waiting for remove conditional green card almost 5 years. Can you apply for citizenship? Yes, once it gets to the point where you qualify for citizenship, and sometimes when you apply for citizenship, then it nudges them to adjudicate your green card at the same time. Father, citizen, mother's green card holder, can they bring the child to USA and file for her there? If the child is under 21, then keep in mind that you can't bring your child for the purpose of doing the papers. That's considered misrepresentation, because if they come in with a visa with the intention of applying for papers, then you're misrepresenting to the officers that you're just visiting. So, but we've had situations where the child came, and when they came, they just said, okay, let the child stay here and just apply. But for this to work, the child of the citizen father has to be under 21. I started my adjustment of status process, but I haven't received any card from receipt. It's been 8 months. Something is off there. 8 months is too long. They maybe got lost in the mail, or they may have rejected it. So get in touch with them, see what happened to the receipt notices, and see if they can resend it if it got lost. How long after I-130 is approved does it take for I-485 to approve? Been married for 2 years next month. I filed September 12th, 2023. So I usually see come within a month or two after the I-130 is approved, but sometimes they hold off because maybe there's something they're going to ask you for. So that's a possibility. My friend is asking, can you help with work visas for teachers? So usually with the work visas, it's J1s and H1Bs, but I don't do those. It takes another one here again. So that was a comment. The good question here. So please, could this new government possibly start tampering with immigration processing right away? No, it's not happening. Pretty sure Biden administration is not letting that happen, and Secretary Mayorkas is not allowing that to happen. So no. And even I would say, even when Trump takes office, you qualify for something, get it in, because the policies don't change yet. They won't change yet. And we're going to know when it changes. And so they're still going to have to adjudicate the processes based on the law that's in place. So Trump can't just come in and say, let's get rid of this law. There is a process, either a legislative process, or he has to go through a notice process. He has to give notification. He has to go through an administrative notice process. That's where they basically post the regulation, and then they're going to say the effective date. And then if it's a policy that we don't like, there are tools to be able to fight this. And these are what the tools that were used during the last time he was in office. So the lawsuits to challenge these types of policies if it's really something that's egregious and violates rights. So now it's going to be hard to get papers. The policies are still in place, and we're still using the policies. And if you qualify, as long as the policies that we are using are in place, you still have a good chance. But here's what I say too. When you apply under these current policies, it means that any new policies that come into place, it's not going to apply to you. So that's where it's very important, because these policies right now are more advantageous. It's more advantageous, it's more immigrant friendly, it's more humane. So that's where, now, where it's going to get challenging is the way things are done. For example, if you don't fill out some one little space, they may reject it. They may ask for, something in an RFE, something really simple that was already in the packet. The processing times may get longer. That's where I suspect things are gonna be like that again, right? Where we're gonna see things. Another thing, for example, is the public charge rule. But the public charge rule is where if you take any benefits, but immigrations usually don't qualify for benefits. And for the T visa, for VAWA, for U visa, for asylum, they don't hold the public charge against you anyway. You're exempt. They don't look at that. So once again, that's what I'm saying. The laws are in place right now to protect you. What does the person plan on marrying next year? What will happen? There's, as far as I know, they're still gonna have that law in place. So it means, I say, You plan to get married next year, maybe you should start talking about just doing it now, if that you have, that's a luxury that you have. What about PIP program? What do you think is going to happen? So right now the Biden administration, they're suing, the states are suing the Biden administration. And what I suspect will happen with the PIP, because the PIP is not like the TVs, it's not like VAWA, it's not like adjustment of status. Those are statutory laws. That means those laws were passed. So, for example, the INA law, INA has been in effect for decades. The T visa law, VAWA, since 2000, right? So those have been in place for a long time, and the only way that those can be repealed is if Congress repealed it. Senate and the house, right? So it has to go through a process, and I guarantee those laws are so foundational, so important in preventing the vulnerable immigrants from being victimized, trafficking victims, immigrants from being victimized by their spouse or their relatives, that I guarantee is going to face a battle. Now, the PIP program. This is where Biden had announced last year that they were going to give spouses of citizens parole, a parole in place that would allow them parole, and these spouses had to cross the border without permission. And then they would get parole in place to apply for adjustment of status. Certain states sued to stop the Biden administration from giving this benefit. But this is based on Biden's executive action. So I'm giving you a little lesson in processes, right? The executive, you have the executive branch, which is the president, and then you have the legislative branch, which is Congress. You have the Senate and you have the House. Now, when a law is passed through Congress, the president cannot, everybody has to follow that rule. The president doesn't have a say to say, we are not going to follow that rule. If that rule is there, the president has to follow it. Now, and then the only way that that can be changed is if Congress repeals it, I mean, takes it away or changes it, right? Amends the law. Now, the PIP program is it's based on his executive powers. So it's an executive action, and the president sometimes has limited abilities to do things like this. So the backdrop of this is the Congress was not cooperating with Biden administration to get immigration reform out. So what he did instead is he just said, all right, I'm going to use what power I have to just issue parole. Parole in place is like special permission that the government gives for someone to stay here for like a year, to have admission into the US. It's a discretionary relief that they have permission to give. But since it's discretionary relief, the state sued him and basically said he can't do that. So, long story short, what's going to happen in January? I think it's probably going to be one of the first things that they do. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe we get a miracle, but I don't expect him to be very charitable here. Is when he takes over the presidency, he's going to probably settle with the states, and they're going to then dismiss the lawsuit. And then the way he's going to settle with the states is to say, okay, we'll get rid of the program. We will terminate the program, and it will be no more, because it's discretionary. It's not a statute. It's not legislation. So Congress doesn't have anything to do with it. So that's what's probably going to happen is they're going to say, okay, we're all friends now, and we all agree this is not something we wanted. So we're going to get rid of it. So I suspect come January, that will be no more. What is the process now applying for work permit? So work permit, it depends on what you're applying for. What about your program? Will it still go on? So as now, I noticed you said, what about my program? Is it my, as in my lives? I'm gonna be here. But my program, I don't have a program. I'm a lawyer that seeks protections for my clients under the current law. So that's where my clients are getting their work permits. They're getting their permits based on the law. They're getting protection based on the law. So I'm still gonna be here following the law and helping my clients to follow the law and get their papers. I plan on marrying my husband, American citizen. How does the process of obtaining citizenship work? So you'll have to file adjustment of status if you're here in the US. We do that, so give us a call and let's get started. So is it going to be hard next year? Boy, it's gonna be hard it's just gonna be hard. I mean, as an attorney going through 4 years, yes, it was hard, but we did it. It's you build stamina and you learn coping mechanisms to get through it, and then you learn how to adapt, right? So for example, some of the things I do in my current cases, I do based on what I experienced in the past administration. So, for example, I still put NA in every blank space of the form, because if you didn't do that, your form would have been rejected. So I always had in the back of my head that if this NA rule comes back, it won't feel like anything because I was already doing it. So it's just to basically take extra steps again, to do it. So people can still get married and thing next year, yeah, if it's laws are still there. What's the time frame on getting bona fide determination from the T status? I'm hoping a few months,
Okay,
but we
thanks for
haven't seen much come
watching.
through
This
yet.
is it.
But we're thinking
For now, so you
three,
can
usually
continue
after the
watching.
biometrics, three to
Alright,
six
if you
months
want
is
to
the
watch
timeline
it.
we're hoping for. How long are you seeing for T visas to be processed? So a year to a year and a half to be processed. What happens now when you overstay? So if you overstay, it means that you don't have your papers and you're gonna be you're gonna have to look at your options for papers, but it becomes limited. I'm in a removal proceedings. My court is in January and I-130 is pending. Will they remove me? It depends on where you are in the removal proceedings. If you're going to the master calendar hearing, then it's not going to happen right away. And then the court system, by the way, the court system is inundated. So you're not going to, um, it's probably your next final hearing is going to be scheduled.
We are back.
Scheduled a ways off. My employee
We
did a perm
are
application.
back.
When do you think I will hear something? So if you did the perm with the Department of Labor, those are taking 6 and possibly up to 18 months, just depending on whether there's an audit. And then after that, adjustment of status. My friend came to the a visiting visa and she was afraid for her life back home. So she definitely needs to talk to us to see if she qualifies for asylum. How long does it take to get work permit without U visa? As a year and a half to 2 years. Father is a citizen, mother is a green card holder. Can they bring the child to the U.S.? Child under 21 can go through the father, but you just be careful about entering the country to file papers. That might be a problem. She had a police report and restraining order, but it's outdated. Let her do an appointment with us so we can see what's going on. I'm a student. Can I benefit from VAWA? Yes. If you're in status, out of status. No. Oh, my uncle mistreated me. If your uncle mistreated you, VAWA wouldn't apply here. But we want to talk to you because what did your uncle do? If your uncle forced you to do work, pulled you out of school, forced you to do work for him, didn't pay you, forced you to do stuff around the house, That could possibly qualify you for a T visa, but we have to get your detailed information. All right, so I'm going to jump onto TikTok. And we probably have to wait till tomorrow to get to some more questions, but I'm gonna just answer on TikTok here. If your husband, if your husband used you and wants citizenship, what can you do? So I don't advise. I advise immigrants. I don't advise citizens on how to report immigrants. Hello, do you know why replacement green card is taking so long? I know it's frustrating. It's just backed up. They're processing. Can you get EB1 green cards as a social media influencer that has a lot of partnerships? It may be possible. It just depends on all your qualifications, what you've achieved in your career. Are you at the top of your field? It could be possible, but we'd have to talk in a consultation. I came back with AP and have a pending VAWA. Can I marry my current girlfriend and do an adjustment of status? No, if you get married, you lose VAWA qualification, so don't get married while your VAWA is pending. I'm located in Boca Raton, Florida, and Delray. We have two offices, so Delray and Boca, but we represent clients in all 50 states. Um, my mom K1 my mom K1 while my brother is K2. Can my brother live with me on the state while on process? Yes, it's fine. Will TPS protect? Yes, TPS. No, uh, TPS could be vulnerable because that's a usually discretionary benefit granted by the president. But during Trump's administration, he did try to terminate the TPS, and litigation stopped that because so many immigrants depend on TPS. So we can expect these shenanigans again for sure, but we're going to look at the tools to fight back and protect our clients and their rights. So, hi, can I file for citizenship without a joint bank account? I mean, you must be talking about green card for. It depends. Do you have other good evidence? So this is where you should talk. How can I get appointment with you ASAP? So it just depends on the availability on my schedule. You can also meet with. We have attorney Bria. We have attorney Deanna, and both of them are just as qualified as me. We work together very closely to help our clients. So if you want, you can call the office and or just schedule your own appointment with whoever schedule works best with yours. I'm currently waiting for an interview date for an immigrant visa. Will the election affect that? Not right now. It's probably not going to be the number one thing that they're going to change. Of course, we remember. I hate these flashbacks I'm having, but back in during Trump administration, we had the public charge rule, where extra forms had to be filled out, and that did affect certain immigrants because the way it was set up was they looked at credit score, they looked at your history, they looked at your health, they looked at your age, they looked at your work history, they looked at your education, and they looked at a holistic. Instead of just looking at the numbers, looking at the income of your relative, they looked at all sorts of things in your background as well as the income of the relative to decide whether you qualified for the role. And then as soon as Trump came in, that was out the door, right? So that might be something that could affect you at the embassy if they do. But keep in mind, they are going to let us know when this comes in. It's required. They can't just get up tomorrow and say, I think I'm gonna, implement the public charge rule. They're gonna have to say, here are the regulations and this is set. to go into effect on April 1st. And then we'll know the date, and what you'd have to do is get your application in before that date, or get your affidavit of support in before that date, so that it would not apply to you. Do you do uncontested divorce? No. I'm currently waiting for an interview date for an immigrant visa. Will the election affect that? So I just answered that. I'm 18. Do I have to worry about the deportation? It depends on your facts here. Now, I did, as you know, they were interviewing someone on CNN who is working with Trump's administration, and one thing he did hint at was, which is not out of the ordinary as it is now, is they would focus on deporting people with criminal records first, who not even criminal records, people who are a threat to national security. So that was a hint as to what, but that is already in place based on the deportation enforcement. They still have that priority in place, so that's not anything new. Can I work for another company while I have EB3 in process? It's unlikely unless you have a work permit, but I would have to understand the facts first. Lived here legally for 21 years. I'm 26. I have a green card. Got convicted of a felony. Will that be deport? So it depends. So if you've lived here for a very long time and the felony doesn't count as a deportable crime, then you could be okay. But it depends on what you were convicted for, the facts involved. So anytime you have criminal offenses, we need to look at the documents, look at the court documents, hear the specific charge, know what state it's in, to tell you what consequences you should be looking at. Is your assistance countrywide? Yes, it is. Is advance parole still valid for traveling since now we have new president? Yes, it's still valid. But just be careful traveling. I'm a nurse. Can I file an EB2? No. So nurses can't. Unless you have an advanced degree, like a master's or a PhD. I spent 5.5 months in the US. Can I leave for 1 week and come back in? That's not a good idea. That is definitely usually sometimes grounds for them to cancel your visa and send you back home. Good night. What's your cost consultation if I want to file VAWA? $150. And then we can talk and we can provide you a quote based on the evaluation, the case evaluation. So go ahead, schedule your appointment. If your work permit has denied, what can you do? It depends on why it was denied. Does the government give you some type of document while you wait for adjustment of status for proof? So they give you the work permit. So that's one thing they give you during adjustment of status. Is an EB2 form hard to submit? The form is pretty straightforward, but it's the evidence. The evidence is what is important. EB2 is national interest waiver, which means that you have to show that you have an advanced degree or you have exceptional ability. And then you'd also have to show additional requirements to be able to file the national interest waiver. So those requirements have to do with, can you show that you're going to achieve a goal of national importance and substantial merit? Do you have, and that doesn't mean you have to invent anything or you have to be famous, but it has to fit within a goal of national importance or substantial merit, that you have the means to achieve the goal, and that it's more beneficial to the US to grant that to you. So you would have to prove those prongs. So it's in the evidence, not necessarily the form. Is work permit serves that you are here legally? Thanks so much for the gifts, the generous gifts. I appreciate that. Is work permit serves that you are here legally? Yes, so it gives you, it is proof that you have permission to be here. I have a scheduled appointment. Well, awesome. I can't wait to speak with you. I am amped up, so is attorney Bria, so is attorney, the entire staff. We're all working very hard right now, and we're determined. So I was in distress just because, it's not, I want you to know, as immigrants, you're not alone. Um, you are, as immigrants, we're one group, but we're women. Women have been affected. Our children are potentially affected if they to get rid of Department of Labor. Our daughters, are gonna be raised with much more restrictions than us, than we enjoyed, and no, we don't enjoy that as a woman. Transgender, LGBTQ community are also affected by the various anti-LGBTQ legislation that's popping up, and anti-transgender um, legislation that's popping up across the country. So we are all in distress right now, and just on the edge of our seats about what changes are coming, and we have to take it day by day. So you're not alone. But my job right now is to just do what I've been doing, and so I got my head screwed on and said, all right, it's time to just do what I have been doing all along. Um, my experience has always been this, and it's not anything new. I'm not inventing anything new. The laws are there to protect you. What are new laws for immigrants? I just got here. Okay, so no new laws. The laws that were there before that I have been using to help my clients to get their papers and protection will be there. It's gonna be there when Trump gets there. And any changes that are gonna be coming, we're gonna get notice of those changes. So we're gonna know we need to get these applications in before this date. But I say this, as I am doing preparing strategy, making sure I'm ready for next year, I'm doing it now, right? I'm not waiting for Trump to come into office to know I'm equipped. I'm getting equipped now. We already got off a call with other attorneys that do the same thing that I do. And so we're getting ready. We're taking the time. And I say to you, do the same. I have gone through this live to show you that you have the time. We don't have much time, but use the time to figure it out. What options could work for you? How much it costs to file T visa? So there are no application fees, and then there are attorney fees, but we don't provide the quote unless first we have to talk to you, make sure you qualify, and then we provide you the quote. I filed for asylum from 2020, but no interview as yet. Do you think it's going to be pushed back? It may, because they are backlogged. There are over 1 million asylum applications right now. Um, all right. So I would love to continue to stay, but I think if I continue, I'm not going to. I'm gonna keep going, because I really enjoy spending the time with you. It gives me comfort as well, and reassurance as I go through your questions. I know we can get this done. We can get the job done. So I'm going to work to get back here tomorrow. So just look out for me, follow, like, subscribe. That way, when I come on, and if you're available, you can come on too. And if I didn't get to your question, then that's where you should save your question for tomorrow. All right. But I went through today to let you know that yes, he has said the biggest mass deportation move in history. But I've gone through the facts with you to show you what the consequences would be. And the consequences of that would be devastating to the United States. Yes, there are going to be some, um, there's going to be some enforcement. There's going to be increased enforcement, but not on the scale that he is saying, right? It's just too costly. It's too devastating. So we have to stay vigilant, don't go hiding, but make sure that you do what you have been doing. You've been complying with the law, you've been doing what's right, you've been raising your children, you've been working, you've been honest. Keep doing that. You're not doing anything wrong. So keep doing that, and then as the changes come in, I'll continue to update you, right? But for now, as we have the laws and rules now, let's work on that. Let's work on this now. Let's get prepared, and let's do this. All right, I'm gonna be here for you next year and beyond, and we're gonna get through it. All right. So have a good night, everybody, and just get your rest. I'm going to do that now. I'm gonna sleep on it and then get up to just continue what I've been doing. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
All right, hello everybody. How's it going? This is Immigration Attorney Mamita. I'm coming to you to do a special live today because this morning we have woken up with the election results and we have another Trump presidency happening again this year. And if you're watching me, you are either in the immigration process or wanting to start your immigration process and find out what your options are. And you are probably really worried right now. You're probably filled with a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety about what's going to happen. You're probably wondering what's going to happen to your case, what's going to happen to you, to your family, to your loved ones. And I am here to answer your questions as much as I can to the best of my abilities. Just let's talk about what's possible, what's going to happen. Let's talk about what immigration options you might have and where we go from here. Okay, so first of all, what I do want to let everybody know about, and to any of my current clients who are watching right now, I want you to know that you are not alone. You are not by yourself. We are with you. We are by your side. Your journey is our fight, and we take that fight very seriously. And literally what that means is that we will go the extra mile. We go the extra mile for our clients to get them approved. We go the extra mile to make sure that they have the support that they need and to make sure that the case is strong. And that is no matter who is in presidency, that is the singular most important thing to anyone's immigration case, is to have a lawyer who freaking cares. You need to have a lawyer who cares what happens to you. You need to have a lawyer who cares what happens to your case and who wants you to get approved. There are way too many lawyers out there who all that they truly care about is to just get paid and not do anything and do the bare minimum. And it doesn't matter who the president is, if that's your lawyer, if that's sort of lawyer that you're working with, then your chances of getting the relief that you want is not going to be high. Number two, the second most important thing that you need to know is that we have been through this. We have already gone through this once before. And God willing, I mean, this is going to be the last time we have to deal with it. But we have already gone through it. So we already kind of know what to expect. And I invite you to share with me what you are most afraid about. I invite you to share with me what your questions are. So from my perspective, I don't, the biggest threats that they've made, right? The biggest threats that they've made and the biggest thing that people are worried about is, am I going to get deported? Am I now going to get deported? Are there going to be massive deportation forces out on the streets looking for us and trying to round us up and find us? And the answer to that is, I truly do not believe that's going to happen. I truly believe that that's something that was used in order to stir fear, to stir hatred, and to get people to vote, right? Because a lot of people really don't like immigration, no matter what. So when that is the case, you know, that's number one. I really believe that you should not be afraid of massive deportation forces, of police being out to roam the street. However, it is important to know that if you have an immigration case pending with USCIS, what I expect to see is I do expect to see some more requests for evidence. I expect to see that cases will take a little bit longer to process because there might be certain backlogs that created. There's going to be confusion. There's, basically immigration's boss is going to change, right? It's no longer going to be Joe Biden. It's going to be Donald Trump. And when that happens, there's changes in the administration, and that always carries with it a loss of time because people now need to fill the positions. And one thing that did happen during the last administration is the fact that they didn't give any, they didn't really care about DHS. They didn't really have enough staff there, and a lot of people left their positions as immigration officers, as DHS attorneys, and all those things. And that also added to the backlog of cases too. Okay, so that's what I think is like the number one thing to expect. I don't want you guys to freak out. I don't want you to worry. We have also seen some of the worst that could have happened try to happen, which is where states like Florida have tried to pass these anti-immigration bans and bills that have also been held up in court. So I still have a little bit of faith in the courts, and I do think that's going to be helping to basically keep things in check, okay? So let's go ahead and answer some questions. And the other number one thing that I wanted to address for my clients who are watching, and for those of you who have cases pending, even if it's not with me, is people have asked me in the past, if we have a Trump presidency, does that mean that VAWA is going to get revoked? Does that mean that T visas are going to go away? And the answer is no, because these are codified statutes that have been passed by Congress, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to repeal laws. It takes a lot to enact laws. Even if we have a Republican Senate right now, I really doubt that's going to happen because these are still popular forms of relief that are meant for victims, and it's not going to look good for any senator to be in favor of revoking those, okay? So let's go ahead and answer some questions. And how long does the T visa take? The T visa takes, from Maricela, the T visa, it takes average of 1.5 years to 2 years for USCIS to process. Sometimes we've seen them get processed faster, but I would say 1.5 to 2 years is the norm right now. From Carrie, my dad has been here for 20 years and he was deported once when I was little. Can he get papers? From Carrie, that's a very good question. If your mom or dad or relative or you have been deported in the past, can you still get papers? And the answer to that is that it's going to depend. It's going to depend on a couple things. Number one, are you inside the country or are you outside the country? And number two, what was the reason that you were deported? So if you are still inside the country and you received an order of deportation and you never left the country, whether or not you can get papers is going to depend on what you still qualify for. What do you qualify for? For example, do you have an adult child who's going to sponsor you? Do you have a spouse who's going to sponsor you? Are you eligible for a T visa or a U visa? Some of these things are, we have to first see if you qualify for any sort of relief, and then we have to look to see what is the probability of getting your case reopened in order to get your paperwork finalized in the end, okay? So yes, many times it is a possibility, and what I like to do, like if you have an order of deportation already and you are wanting to know what is your chance of getting approved, number one, I would say is let's look to see if you qualify for VAWA or a T visa, because these cases do not require for you to have a legal entry. And the biggest, I would say the majority of cases have the problem of people not having the legal entry, right? And if you don't have a legal entry, then that means your case is a little bit more complicated. But cases like the T visa, the VAWA, these do not require you to leave the US, and these do not require you to prove a lawful entry to the United States. And even if you have a deportation order, we can still go back to the court to ask for them to reopen it once your case is approved, okay? And because in the end, we want you to be able to get that green card, okay? So call us, Carrie, 212-248-7907. And just so you know, just so you know, just so I can introduce myself, my name is Momita Rahman. I'm an immigration attorney. I practice here in New York City, but I work with clients all over the US. So no matter what state you live in, we would love to help you and would love to provide services to you. So you can give us a call at any time. 212-248-7907. We have thousands of clients all over the US, so it does not matter to us where you live. We work with clients virtually and in the best way possible. We truly believe in making sure that your experience working with our firm is one of the best in your life, and that you get treated with so much dignity, respect, and compassion from a law firm that you probably will walk away thinking that you've never had such service in the past, because that makes a big difference. You want to work with a law firm who is going to treat you like a human being, and that's what we believe in, okay? How long does it take for some OPT extension from Ashfaq? Ashfaq, I don't know, since I don't really practice that. I filed for my dad and his I-130 was accepted. Then we did the I-485 and we're still waiting. So how long does it take to hear back from that? So we can do fingerprinting from Jamaican Gal. Jamaican Gal, how long it takes for the I-485 to be processed is going to depend on a couple of things. Number one, how long your I-485 takes to be processed will always depend on, number one, what category you filed underneath, okay? So for example, are you the parent of a US citizen? Are you the spouse of a US citizen? Or are you the brother or sister of a US citizen? Depending on your category, some cases are going to get priority over others. And number two, it also depends on where your case is being processed. So depending on the field office, some field offices will basically take a little bit longer to file than others, okay? All right, let's go ahead and see all of these questions. And just so you guys know, I am answering questions on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So please allow me some time to get to your question. I may not be able to get to everybody, but I'll do my best. Will Trump curb legal immigration more, from Devi Raj Chauhan? Devi Raj, Samantha, hello, Samantha, nice to see you, my love. Devi Raj, yes, I do believe, here's the thing, the Trump presidency actually impacted legal immigration more than it impacted illegal immigration the last time around. And how did they impact legal immigration? Well, number one, we had the travel bans. Number two, we had huge slowdowns of processing inside USCIS inside the US and also at the consulates overseas. And I do believe that they, because of the slowdowns, they basically processed a lot fewer cases than normal. So in that way, in that sense, it does affect legal immigration a little bit more. People think that Trump is going to end border immigration, which that did get affected, of course, last time. And we had the horrible family separation and all of those things, which we might see again. But for people who are already inside the US or who are trying to get into the US, your cases will probably be impacted a little bit, yes. What do you think will happen with the PIP lawsuit from Julianne? Julianne, I'm not too sure. I think right now I believe it's the Fifth Circuit, I believe, that's hearing that's handling that, or where it's being held. And the Fifth Circuit is pretty conservative, and they've not really given positive things. But what will happen is, even if it gets ruled against, that will then get appealed to the Supreme Court. So it's going to keep the fight alive a bit longer. Okay. Okay, from Work Pray Hard, what will happen if you get caught up in deportation while your status is pending? I have no criminal background. From Work Pray Hustle. So that's a good question. Can you still get caught up in deportation proceedings when you have a case pending with USCIS? And the answer to that is that it's going to depend on what sort of case you have pending. When you have pending an application like an I-485, the I-485 is an application to give permanent residency to you. And when that is pending, you're technically actually authorized to be here. So you technically should not have any charges, any immigration charges brought against you for overstaying your visa or for being here without authorization when you have an I-485 pending. However, if you commit a crime, right? If you commit a crime and get arrested for something and you have an I-485 pending, that by itself will not stop an actual deportation from happening. However, it will give the judge grounds to consider maybe delaying your case or even dismissing the charges to allow your case to finish. That's something that can definitely help. It's not going to hurt your case. That's one thing for sure. Okay, so I hope that helps. Do you think that the change to VAWA now and the approval rate will go way down in upcoming years during this administration? From John 993. I do not believe that approval ratings will go down for VAWAs or T visas because that's not what I saw. I've been doing VAWAs and T visas even when Trump was in office, and we had great success on our cases. And why do cases get denied in the first place? Well, number one, if it's not put together well and the responses to any request for evidence don't address the core issue of what immigration is having a problem agreeing on with you, right? Because when you submit your case to immigration, you are saying, hey, officer, please agree that I am the victim of abuse, or please agree that I am the victim of trafficking. And if they don't agree 100%, that's when they give you that request for evidence. So the attorney's obligation and your obligation to help your attorney is to give back a response that helps convince that officer, yes, I should grant this application to this person. So like I said before, if you missed it before, the most important thing now that we have the Trump presidency is for you to have a good, excellent lawyer who will fight for you. If you do not have a lawyer who fights for you, who believes in your case, who's going to go that extra mile, it does not matter who the president is. Your case is going to have less likelihood of success. And that is one of the things that we pride ourselves on. That is one of the things I pride myself on. The fact that I do not give up on a case. We have gotten cases approved with such complexities that you would not believe. And the reason we got them approved is that we looked for every inch. We looked for every possible way to make arguments for our clients, to support the case, to show to immigration why the client should get approved. And in any event, let's just say that this presidency even denies things. What you need are attorneys who are not going to give up just because you get a denial, right? We appeal, we fight, and we keep on going. And that is what makes a difference in the lives of immigrants that we serve, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and see what other questions that we have. How long does it take after you get prima facie self-determination from my VAWA self-petition from Rizi? I would say prima facie determination normally takes about, I would say, I think it's taking somewhere between 5 to 10 months to get. And then after that, you still have to wait maybe a year and a half to get your approval for the actual VAWA case, okay? Oh gosh, sorry, I'm forgetting to answer my TikTok questions. Okay. Let's see. How long are VAWA cases taking to be processed by Tania? Tania, they're taking about 2.5 to 3 years, and green card cases through the normal joint case through marriage is taking about a year, more or less. What will happen to pending VAWA cases after elections? Will we be affected from Paula? Paula, I do not expect you to be affected. I don't expect the denials to go up, but I do expect that possibly we will get more requests for evidence. And if you get a request for evidence on your case, I want you to not freak out. A request for evidence is simply an opportunity to provide more explanation and more evidence to support your case. And I would say the majority of the time that we get, if we get a request for evidence, it's number one, maybe something is not clear in the case, or number two, something might not be consistent inside the case, and we always have an opportunity to fix that. So it just means that it'll cost a little bit more time on your case, but it's still not over, okay? So for those of you who have pending cases going on, I do not want you to freak out. I do not want you to freak out. I want you to have faith. I want you to have faith that there are officers inside immigration that will still abide by their rules, and that they will still abide by their training to make the proper decisions. Because as I mentioned just now, even during the last Trump administration, I personally did not see an increase in denials for my VAWA cases or my T visa cases. What I did see was an increase in RFEs, interviews, and also the overall processing time, okay? And those are small. We can all handle those problems, okay? I have a pending AOS and I have a work permit. Will I be affected since Trump won? From Dominic. Dominic, I don't think you'll be affected. You might get an interview depending on what time, when your case gets to that stage, okay? Can you talk about what is going to happen with DACA from Josie? Josie, yeah. So DACA is just one of those things that we just keep waiting to see and waiting to see and waiting to see what's going to happen, right? So what I can say is this: if you have DACA status right now, if you have a valid DACA card, make sure you keep renewing it. They're not, they can't really take that away. Once they have done this, they cannot really take that away. So by anyone who was trying to apply for DACA, that's the part where we're probably not going to see DACA open up to new applicants again, okay? Heart still beats. I just received my prima facie. Do you think they can stop the cases of VAWA? No, as I said, if you have a VAWA case pending, if you have a T visa case pending, even if you have a marriage adjustment of status case pending, they cannot stop that. They cannot take it away because that's literally built into the law. And no matter who the president is, the president can't strike down laws on his own. They would need the backing of Congress to do all of that. And trust me, Congress is not going to do that, okay? Nahib, Google gives only office number. I'm struggling to get my application accepted. Not too sure what you mean by that. I'm a DACA recipient. Should I be worried from MW Streamer? MW Streamer, just keep on doing your applications. Just keep on doing your renewals on time, and you should be fine. Okay, so let's talk about this. If you have DACA and you're worried, you're worried about whether DACA is going to go away, the time is now. The time is now, and I've been saying this for the past few years. Do not wait. If you are trying to find a permanent solution to your immigration status, the time is now to find out what they are. And I invite you to call our office. You can call us 212-248-7907. We look for those cases that the majority of other lawyers do not do. The T visa cases, the VAWA cases, the U visa cases, where most other lawyers, I don't believe that they're trying to do it on purpose, but sometimes people's mind frames are very narrow and they don't always look for the case. But we want to find your diamond in the rough. We want to find your solution. We don't want to leave any stone unturned when you call us and we ask you questions to see what we can do to help. And look, we don't work with every single type of case. We focus very specifically on a few different types of cases, and we have developed our our knowledge and our experience in those cases so that we can keep continuing to help more and more cases, because these are the cases that truly, truly help people so much on a day-to-day basis, because the majority of our clients never knew that it was a possibility. And if you have DACA, if you have TPS, if you don't have any status at all, it's time now to find out what your options are, because it's true. Who knows what might happen? I'm predicting that nothing is going to get worse, but it's probably going to get a little scary. So it's up to you what you are comfortable with. If you're comfortable with sitting there and waiting to find out what's going to happen, then do that. Do what is best for you. But if you want to be proactive, if you want to find out what your options are and to see if there's any possibility, please give us a call, 212-248-7907. Emmanuel, hello. What now? I'm a T visa client. How does the election impact people who are in the loop? So Emmanuel, it should not impact you right now, but one thing that I can say is that we might see an increase in the number of requests for evidence that we get. But if you get a request for evidence in your case, it's nothing to flip out about, okay? You take it in stride. Especially because if you have an excellent immigration team on your side who's going to address that request for evidence, then that will get handled, okay? But if you get a request for evidence in your case and you don't have a good law firm, or you're doing your case by yourself, then that is the time to seek out legal assistance. And if you want our help on your RFP, you can give us a call, 212-248-7907. Were some people able to get the PIP that Biden initiated from Julia? Yeah, those that filed the first hour. I have heard of a few people getting approved, but it was very little, okay? When you say I-485 pending, does that mean your status is accepted or simply that USCIS has received your application for I-485 from Edie? Edie, I'm Edie Kukie. When I say that your I-485 is pending, it means that immigration has actually accepted your case and it's in process. And you have a receipt for it too. Desde Chach. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Tiene oficina en Elizabeth, Nueva Jersey, desde Chach. Chach, no, solamente solo tengo una oficina en Nueva York, pero servimos todos los clientes. Todos los clientes, no importa en cuál estado usted vive, podemos servir a todos los clientes en todos los estados, ¿ok? Puede llamarnos a 212-248-7907. Will H-1B approvals only be approved from 1 year at a time? I do not know, since I don't really practice H-1Bs right now. Is there a difference between U.S. citizen and dual citizen, or is it way faster processing to bring your loved ones to the U.S.? So even if you're a dual citizen, that should not affect the processing time for your family. Okay, let's see. Am I documented if my I-360 is approved? Yes, not only are you documented, you have deferred action. So if you have VAWA approved, if you have a T visa approved, you get deferred action. You get protected against deportation. And that is honestly that is the best peace of mind that you can have. That is the best peace of mind that you can have when your VAWA is approved, knowing that you are protected against deportation, okay? 212-248-7907. Should green card holders be concerned about deportation under Trump with play with wacky? That's a good question. Should you be concerned about deportation proceedings underneath Trump? And the answer is it's going to be difficult, right? It's going to be difficult. You know, Trump is only going to have a certain amount of resources, and deportation proceedings require court processes, court proceedings, ICE officers to issue notices to appear. And the truth of the matter is that the immigration system is at capacity. It's at capacity. There's not enough people working there. There's not, they have to, they kind of made the mess themselves, because over the Trump presidency, they were issuing a lot of NTAs and trying to put people into deportation for just not having status, right? For just not having status. And in doing so, they took the focus away from trying to deport people with criminal activity or violence in their past. And they basically overburdened the deportation process system, the court system. And they might try, but here's a little bit of good news. Even if you end up getting an NTA over the next 4 years, it's probably going to take you a very long time to get any hearings, because of how overburdened the immigration court system is. It's a little secret, but if that gives you any sort of peace of mind, please let it give you some peace of mind. Now, if you get arrested and put into mandatory detention, that is always a fast track process for deportation. If you get arrested and put into mandatory detention for certain criminal convictions. So I urge you all, if you're undocumented, or if you have a green card, even if you have a green card, number one, don't smoke marijuana because it is still a federal crime, and you can still get arrested for it, and you might still have your green card in jeopardy for that, okay? So that's like a little bit of a tip that I can give you guys right now. Should I still apply for a U visa if I qualify for Medium? Medium, absolutely. If you have even a remote chance of being approved for something, I say apply, because it's better to get something in process and to start the process and get it approved than sit there stressing out with anxiety, and you're still going to be at risk of you're still going to be at risk of deportation, right? Because you have no status anyway. So if you're at least trying, it gives you more leverage to immigration to say that you already have something in process. And also, if you have been here for a number of years, let's give us a call, 212-248-7907. Let's find out if you might be eligible for something else that can help you get legalized, that can help you get status, okay? For cases, we work with cases that don't require you to have a citizen spouse or a citizen family member. It does not require legal entry. We can help you even if you came in illegally. We can help you even if you have a deportation order, okay? So give us a call, 212-248-7907. Now, I had the question earlier about someone's father having a deportation order, and I didn't finish answering it. Now, something that's also very important is to know why you got deported. So I do want to point out that if you have a criminal offense for which you got deported, you need to get your paperwork so that we can analyze your criminal conviction to see how, if it prevents us from doing something or not, okay? So 212-248-7907. Kay, will they be going into homes to detain people during the mass deportation from Kay? Kay, they don't even have the resources to do a mass deportation. However, we might see more laws being passed in different states where they're authorized to stop people on suspicion of being undocumented and things, and racist things like that. And what I can again say is make sure you're working with an immigration attorney that you trust, that you believe in, and who you can see is returning your calls, who is responding to you, who is taking care of your case, because that is the number one thing that is going to make a difference in people's lives over the next 4 years, okay? 212-248-7907. Milton, I got my VAWA approved 2 months ago and I'm now awaiting adjustment status. Do you think I can have problems in obtaining my green card? I have a clean record. Milton, once your VAWA is approved, number one, you are now protected against deportation because you have deferred action. Number two, if you have a clean record, your case should still get processed as normal without any problems, okay? Now, you might end up getting an interview because of the change in administration, and if you end up getting an immigration interview, my number one advice to you is do not go to your immigration interview alone. Do not go to your immigration interview alone, because when you go into an immigration interview without an attorney, there are things that can happen that we can't protect you from, and we want to protect you. So make sure if you have an immigration attorney, make sure that you go to have them come to the interview, okay? And if that's not what you have, then find an attorney who will. If I have a pending asylum case with my valid work permit and I be at any risk from Krishna, if you already have a pending asylum case and you already have a work permit, those things should not be going away and nothing should be happening. The asylum system is really like at a breaking point right now, and people are not getting interviews. So what I would expect it to happen is that it might cause your interviews to take even longer. Your wait time might increase even more and more, okay? What about people who are supposed to go back for their interview from Jennifer Cruz? Jennifer Cruz, I'm assuming go back because you have a waiver in process. And if you are doing your I-601A waiver and you have an interview at the consulate, I don't see that being impacted right now. But what I can see happening is that the backlog of interviews at the consulates might grow again in the future. But I don't see them giving extra scrutiny or different scrutiny as a result of the presidency, okay? Can I upload more evidence to my valid case without request from Lindsay Hannah? Sometimes, Lindsay, yes, you can. Although it's a little bit questionable about whether the extra evidence that you give without an RFB is actually going to make its way into your file, because the VAWA, Vermont Service Center, I think that they're pretty overwhelmed right now. So that's why I think it's generally better to just give evidence to immigration or submit your medical exams to immigration only when you get that request for evidence, so that they can easily track it and actually make sure that it goes into your file, okay? Would it be a good time to start filing VAWA right now from JC? Absolutely. If you believe that you should qualify for VAWA and you've gotten your case checked out and you have an attorney willing to take your case, it is time to get your case submitted. Don't sit there waiting for the worst to happen. Take matters into your own hands and try to get your status right now, okay? And also, the main thing is that the VAWA cases are taking a long time. Almost all immigration cases are taking a long time. It's currently taking about I would say average of 3 years to get a VAWA case approved. And in that time, the presidency might be over anyway, right? So it's better to get your case started now and get that work permit, get that travel document if you qualify for it, and get, when you have your case in process, that is like a little bit of an insurance for you against immigration, because if you were to get arrested for something, if you do get picked up by ICE for something, when we can show to ICE that we have, this client is eligible for this relief, we have this pending, they have family, they're a victim of this, it actually gives us more ammunition to allow, basically, to ask them for relief, to ask them for a stay, to ask them to consider giving more time. So when you have cases in process, it helps you and it doesn't hurt you, okay? How much does it cost for a consultation? We have a case evaluation fee of $150. If we can't find a case, you will get that fee back, okay? Can you recommend a lawyer in Chicago? I was adopted, but something went wrong. My parents and I thought it was automatic. For adoption in Chicago, I think you can try Farah Kazi, okay? Is there any changes on valid petitions from Joyal? Joyal, not right now, okay? What about people who have citizenship interview from Maram Jerry's? I don't think there's going to be any change on it, okay? All right, let's see what else we have. I've been talking really fast. Oh, this is a good question. Can Trump take away my conditional green card or make it harder to have the I-751 approved from Whitey Tops? Whitey Tops and anyone else who has a conditional resident card, that's not going to get taken away from you. And already the trend that I have been seeing the past year for I-751 cases is that they are giving extra scrutiny anyway. So I would say the majority of my I-751 clients have actually had interviews anyway, and that's probably the hardest thing that can happen is for you to have an interview and have that extra scrutiny on your case. So we're already experiencing that anyway. And funny enough, the reason why we're experiencing that is because they've been waiving so many green card interviews that they now have time to give more interviews for the I-751 cases. So that might continue. But your card is not going to get taken away, or your case should not get treated any differently as a result of the presidency. I want to know what will happen to me and anyone else who filed for